Hi everyone, welcome to Delights to Share, and today I'll be making a very easy and delicious apple cake. It's an old family recipe that comes out perfect every time. It's easy because you simply prepare 3 parts to the recipe and then you assemble it all in the pan. Let me show you the 3 parts. First we have the dry ingredients. We'll use 1.5 cups of flour, 1.5 cups of sugar, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and 4 tablespoons of butter or margarine. Second part of the recipe is the wet ingredients, which consist of 1 cup of milk, 2 eggs, a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Finally, the third part of the recipe is the apple filling. I like to use 2 sour apples like Granny Smith, a tablespoon of lemon juice, a tablespoon of sugar, and 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. So let's get started with the first part of the recipe, the dry ingredients. In a medium bowl, I put flour, sugar, baking powder, and then I give it a good mix with a wire whisk. Next, I add the cubed butter, preferably cold. And then I squeeze the butter into the flour with my fingers until it's well mixed and all the big pieces of butter disappear, leaving the flour a little bit more yellow in color and grainy. Okay, this is what it should look like, and we set it aside in the upper right corner of the screen. Now comes the second part of the recipe, the wet ingredients. In a smaller bowl, I place 2 eggs, and they need to be beaten for a good 3 to 5 minutes until they turn a lighter yellow color and they are completely blended. This step is very important because you don't want chunks of egg yolk and chunks of egg white in your cake. I speed up the video a little bit, but this is what it should look like. Lighter in color and frothy. Now I add the vanilla and I beat some more. Finally, I add the milk slowly while I continue beating so it all gets well blended. Once I'm done, I set the bowl on the upper middle part of the screen. Finally, here comes the third part of the recipe, the apple filling. In a medium bowl, the first ingredient I add is the lemon juice. Next, I start peeling and slicing the first green apple. As you can see, the slices should be about 1/4 of an inch thick at its outer edge. Quickly, I give the apples a stir with the lemon juice until they're well coated. This prevents the apples from turning brown. Now I do the same with the second apple, peeling and slicing it. And giving it a good stir with the lemon juice. Once it's all coated with lemon juice, I add the cinnamon and the sugar, and I continue stirring until everything is coated. All right, so this is the apple filling, and I'll set it aside on the upper left corner of the screen. I preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and I have the 3 parts of my cake here in front of me, the dry ingredients, the wet ingredients, and the apple filling. And I prepare my baking dish, I butter it, and I flour it. And we're ready to assemble. I grab the dry ingredients, and I run a knife a little less than halfway down the dry ingredients. This smaller portion will be the bottom layer of my cake. I lightly spoon the smaller portion of dry ingredients into the baking dish. Once this is complete, I lightly even it out with a fork. And when I even it out, I try not to press it down. The second part of the assembly of the cake is adding the apple filling. In this case, the apple slices coated with cinnamon and sugar. I like to place them a bit on top of each other so there are plenty of apples in each serving. This is what it should look like at the end. and no need to press the apples down. Yes? And now we are at the third part of the assembly. We add the remainder of the dry ingredients on top of the apple filling. Again, I spoon the dry ingredients lightly over the apples, making sure I coat everything and without pressing the dry ingredients down at all. I give the baking dish a good jiggle and the cake evens out and the dry ingredients fall into the cracks of the apple slices. The fourth and final part of the assembly of the cake is to add the wet ingredients, but first I give it a good stir and then I pour gently over the entire cake. At this point, it's very important to let the cake sit for 10 minutes so the liquids can get all soaked up into the dry ingredients. This is what it should look like, and off to the oven it goes for 55 minutes at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Here's the baked cake. Very nice. I like to let it cool in the same dish for about 45 minutes before serving. All right, I'm ready to serve. Here I go. Look at all those apples, well baked and nicely packed in the center layer of the cake. You can see that the cake is moist and the batter was well blended without ever beating the wet and the dry ingredients together. I'm ready to give it a taste, and believe me, this cake tastes as delicious as it looks. Every piece is packed with apples. Absolutely delicious. I'm going to have to go for another piece. It's just so good. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so I can share more great recipes with you. Any questions or comments, please let me know in the comment section below. Thanks for coming, and bye for now.